Hello viewers, you are all welcome to the YouTube channel The Bright. Please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon for more videos. Today, the topic of my video is the poem The Daffodils, written by William Wordsworth. It was first published in 1807. The original title of the poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, is merely the first line of the poem. This poem is all about the beauty of the daffodils and how they brought happiness to the poet. The structure of the poem is very simple in form and language. There are 4 stanzas in the poem, and each stanza has 6 lines that make the entire poem 24 lines long. The rhyme scheme for each stanza is A, B, A, B, C, C, where the first A and the second B lines rhyme with the third A and the fourth B respectively. These are followed by a rhyming couplet CC. The poem is also very rich in its use of figure of speech. Now I am going to explain the poem stanza by stanza, so let's get started. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. In the first stanza, Wordsworth says he was traveling aimlessly, just like a cloud, over the valleys and the hills of the mountainous Lake District in England. While traveling, suddenly he came across a large number of golden daffodils beside the lake and under the trees. He also says those flowers were fluttering and dancing in the breeze. In this stanza, Wordsworth directly compares himself to a cloud, as he was wandering without aim, just like the clouds. This is an example of simile. He also uses the expression like crowd and host to mean that he saw a large area covered with a whole lot of daffodils. In the last line, the poet personifies the flowers by saying that they were fluttering like birds or butterflies and dancing like human beings. There is also an indication that it was a breezy day. So we get an overall idea of the landscape, which includes the valleys and hills, the lake, the trees, the flowers beneath them, and breezy atmosphere. Now the second stanza. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Here we get another example of simile. The flowers are compared to the stars. They stretched in a continuous line, just like the stars in a galaxy like the Milky Way. However, the daffodils were shining, as they were golden in color, and twinkling, as they were fluttering in the breeze, as the stars. So the poet says the daffodils were shining and twinkling as the stars. This comparison with the stars indicates that flowers are heavenly as the stars. The flowers were visible as far as the poet could see. That is why he uses the phrase never-ending line. Here, continuous and never-ending may also suggest that the flowers left an everlasting impact on him. Wordsworth exaggerates the number of flowers by saying 10,000 saw I at a glance, because it is not possible to look at 10,000 flowers at a single glance. It indicates that the poet has never seen so many daffodils at once. So he is just overjoyed. This type of exaggeration is called hyperbole. We got another figure of speech which Wordsworth used here. He also says that the daffodils were tossing their heads as if they were dancing in happiness. Actually, the poet was amazed at the beauty of the flowers. So he found everything around him joyful. As these references of dancing and tossing the heads are parts of his personification of the flowers. Now the third stanza. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. The waves in the bay were dancing and looking gleeful at the atmosphere, but the flowers outshone the lively waves in their happiness. Having such cheerful companion like the daffodils, a poet like Wordsworth cannot help being happy by the beautiful scenario of nature. So he was gazing constantly at the flowers and enjoying the beauty. The word gazed is used twice to indicate how overwhelmed the poet was. So he gazed at the flowers for a long time, forgetting his surroundings. At that time, he did not think much about the wealth that the flowers had brought to him. The poet realized that later that maybe after a few days, this wealth is the happiness and the pleasant memory that he enjoyed for a long time since the day. Now I am going to explain the last stanza of this poem. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Here in this stanza, Wordsworth starts the first line with the word for. Actually, he continues the reasoning for saying that the flowers had brought him wealth. He clarifies why the sight of the flowers was so important in his life. When he lies on his couch, that is bed, in a thoughtful mood, the picture of daffodils flash upon his inner eye, that is his imagination. The picture of daffodils has become an everlasting memory for Wordsworth whenever he is lonely. So he calls it a bliss of solitude, a blessing of staying alone. And whenever he sees the flowers in his imagination, his heart fills with pleasure and his mind dances with those dancing daffodils. This shows the poet's intense feelings. The poet has been able to depict the landscape and express his mind so vividly in so simple language and form that really draws one's attention. So this poem has become one of the most read and mentioned subjective poems in the history of English literature. That's all for today.